In this video, we're going to talk about how you can feel comfortable talking on camera and how you can be confident talking to camera. Hi there, my name is Abby King and I normally blog at Inside the Travel Lab, and I'm passionate about getting you happier having this very strange thing that we're talking about, which is standing in front of a camera lens talking to yourself or talking to a cameraman sometimes. Now, my background is, I used to hate this, hate. I hated any photos that I had to take of myself. The thought of hearing the sound of my own voice, it was just awful. And then through work, I was originally a doctor and then became a writer. And one of my writing assignments wanted me to travel to Japan and broadcast for Lonely Planet, to stand in front of a camera crew and be their anchor person. And after that, they wanted me to broadcast live to over 1 million people on their Lonely Planet channels. And this was going to the BBC, it was going to Lonely Planet, it was on the spot, I had a lot to learn. And this is my point, I had a lot to learn. So I learned some tips, and that's when I began to realise that actually there are tips and tricks and things that you can learn that will help make this process better for the person watching and better for you, and ultimately now more fun. So this is the first video of a series of 3, and it's part of a free training session. So do check out below. I'll put the links there. Don't miss out on the other 2 because we can't cover everything at once. But I wanted to start today with the biggest mistake that people make. If when you get to the end of this and you watch the free training sessions, you think, actually, I could use even more of this is really helpful, then we do have a paid masterclass coming. There's a deadline for that, and again, I'll put the information down below so you won't lose out. But without further ado, let's get on. What is the number 1 mistake that I see people doing when they're talking to camera and they're doing their own video work? I wonder if you can guess what it is. Before we give you the answer, I just want to reinforce that 2020 has shown us a lot of things, a lot of people's homes, like mine, because we can't get out and about much. But it's also shown us that really the future of video is the future. We're all going to have to be comfortable talking to camera, whether that's a Zoom meeting, whether you're having to put together educational training sessions for children or for adults. My 3-year-old daughter started nursery school this September. The time of recording is 2020, COVID full time, and her first piece of homework was to create a video explaining what her favourite toy was because she couldn't take it in. And this is going to be adjusted in terms of her skills doing it. So this is a skill that the country thinks is important enough now for the future that 3-year-olds need to start learning to do. So, it's time. If you've been afraid, then it is time. But I do understand why you're afraid. Public speaking in general is one of the most frightening things to people. And it's because of this fear of judgment. I think lots of us have, God, who is looking at this? And will they be judging me? And do I get my words wrong? And does my hair look stupid? And what will they think about what I've chosen for my background? Or what about my, what I'm wearing? And I hate the sound of my own voice. And all of these things are really, really common. I have them every single time. It's very natural to talk to people and to get our ideas across. It's really not natural to do this, just stand in front of a camera, jabbering away. But that's the number 1 mistake, is all those concerns, all those thoughts that are going through your head and putting you off, they're all about you and judgment of you. And I want you to just shove that to one side and instead think about your viewer. I also teach writing courses, and we talk about this a lot in terms of writing, only then it's obviously the reader. What is in it for the viewer? They're the people who matter for this. You are just you're a vehicle for this information or for this story to get out. And if you think about actually, how can I help the viewer? How can I help them understand my point better? What is better for them to look at? Then a lot of these things actually become really a lot more obvious. And the best thing that happens is you get yourself out of your own head, because it doesn't really matter what people think about the sound of your voice or what you look like. Who cares? It doesn't matter. First of all, people are hardly ever as judgmental as you think. Second of all, they're doing that anyway. It's just you don't normally see what you look like. You don't normally know what you sound like. So that's the weird shock when you watch a video of yourself. But the rest of the world, it's not news. If it's anyone you know or your work or your colleagues, they're like, they already know what you look like. They already know what you sound like. And if anything, they'll just be wondering why you've gone really tense and stressed when you're doing any video presentation. Okay, people are remarkably forgiving if you can show hard work, energy, enthusiasm, and creativity. And I'm pretty sure that's what you've got. That's why you're watching it. That's why you want to get better. So get yourself out of the way, think about the viewer, and then here are some pro tricks. Now, the next two videos are going to go into this a lot more in the training session. Obviously, I want to give you a lot of value, but I'm not going to hide the fact that I sell training courses for this too. But I want this video to give you things that you can do right now and to make it easier to remember. This is what we used to do in medical school all the time. We had to learn which nerve supplied what. You come up with a mnemonic. So for this, it is the 5 S's. So the first S of a tip that I would give to you if you're hating talking to camera is to actually practice in selfie mode. This is counterintuitive to a lot of people because did you not hear, lady? I hate looking at myself and I hate listening to myself. And, that's true, but it links to the second S because you are your worst critic, but you're also kind of your best friend. There's no hiding from you. You're there everywhere you go. And when you see yourself on selfie screen, you start to see a bit more of what your viewer sees. Okay, so are you standing in the right place? Are you looking at the camera? And there's just a sense of the kind of ridiculousness of it all, which is another S. Don't take it so seriously. So in selfie mode, I don't know, I just feel like such a fool standing here. The reality of it is I'm in my front room, we're in lockdown, can't go anywhere else. I can see people walking out past my doorway. I can see my neighbours staring in the window wondering what I'm doing. I can see the post office. I can see all this stuff. And what can they see? They can see me standing in front of a tripod with my phone on it. I mean, it's a ridiculous way to earn a living. So you don't need to take it seriously. Aim for good quality, sure, but just have fun with it. Okay, so selfie mode. Don't take it seriously. With that smile, okay, even if you're going to have to talk about some really serious stuff, a smile still helps go a long way. And bring up the energy. Bring up the energy. My number one piece of advice and training from those days with Lonely Planet was always energy. I now imagine Krista, I don't know if you're out there watching this, but I'm always imagining you now standing behind the camera, going like this, cheering me on. Smile, smile, energy, more, louder. It feels even more ridiculous when you're stood here doing it. But there's something about the camera that takes a ton of that energy right out of what you're saying. And if you just talk in your normal voice, so I guess if you were here, I'd be saying, hey, how are you? How are things going? Well, what I'd recommend, it just sounds dull, okay? The camera takes it down and people watching wonder if there's something wrong with you. So performance voice up on energy, smiles, and away you go for your other S. If you are struggling with that, then I've got a very unflattering one for S, which is sweat. Now, I was going to go for something nicer, but it fitted with the S's. What I mean by that is if you're struggling to get into the tune of it, you can't find that energy, you're just standing in front of the camera and feeling really wooden, then I've just had a better idea for what I should have called it star jumps. My point is that do some exercise, run up and down the stairs a few times, do some star jumps, go out into the cold and come back into the bright warm. Anything that brings the sort of rush of blood to your face, that makes you feel more alive, is going to give you a better presence on the screen and a lot more energy when you're talking. And finally, the last S that we're going to talk about today, because I don't want to overwhelm you, is script. Personally, I'm not a big believer in scripts. I think it's very, very hard for anybody to read off them properly unless they're a trained actor, whereas most of us are used to talking to friends, family, work meetings without a script, but with a plan. So instead of script, I want you to have structure. And that's the same if you're talking live or if you're doing a pre-recorded thing like this. Have some structure, some bullet points. Think about what you want to say, where you want to end up. It's like mapping out your route, okay? If you know you have to pass through 3 cities to get to where you're going, that's fine. You don't need to write down every single left-hand turn, right-hand turn, stop at the traffic lights, you only need to do that for probably right at the end of the journey. if you're going somewhere strange. These days we have sat-nav, but you also want to know if sat-nav's got you wrong. So your bullet points are your cities on your road journey to video success. So that is what I leave you with for today. There are 2 more free training sessions in this series. As I said before, the link is below. Pop your email address in there and we'll send you a reminder when the next are live so you don't miss it. And if you're interested in getting some one-on-one, well, it'd be a group to one, but a live masterclass where we talk more about this, give you more pro tips and help you out with what you're struggling with, then check out that link below as well, because we have a masterclass, Learn to Love the Camera. I'm Abby King from Inside the Travel Lab. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers now. Bye.